loving kindness is better than life. Thy loving kindness is better than life. My lips shall praise thee, thus will I bless thee. I will lift up my hands unto thy name. Therefore the redeemed of the Lord shall return, and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. Therefore the redeemed of the Lord shall return, and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. Therefore the redeemed of the Lord shall return, and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. I am crucified with Christ, nevertheless I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me, and the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice. Rejoice, rejoice, and again I say rejoice. Unto thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. Unto thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. Oh my God, I trust in thee. Let me not be ashamed, let not my enemies triumph over me. Verse 3, yea, let none that wait on thee be ashamed. Yea, let none that wait on thee be ashamed. Oh my God, I trust in thee. Let me not be ashamed, let not my enemies triumph over me. These things have I spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer, be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world.
Now let me see. Get all this stuff ready for my trip. I need clothes, check. Toothbrush, check. Special rod from God, check. Now let me see. Where did I put my sandals?
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Oh my goodness, you startled me.
I need to talk to you for a moment, sir.
Oh, well, this really isn't a good time. I'm getting ready for a long trip.
This won't take but a moment, sir. I'm from the fire department. We've had reports of a forest fire in the area near here. So we're just asking the locals to move out for a while, go visit some relatives or something, get out of the way so we can do our job. You understand, don't you, sir?
A forest fire, but we're in the middle of a desert.
Well, okay, it's not a forest fire. It's just a burning bush, but to us in the desert, it's a forest fire. When you don't have that much vegetation to start with, you kind of want to protect what you got. Don't you think so, sir?
I suppose, but
Do you really have no reason to be concerned about a burning bush?
Is that so? What's your name, sir?
Moses?
Moses, huh? Now tell me, Mr. Moses, just what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a shepherd.
I see, a shepherd. And I suppose you feel that your experience in the area of sheep herding somehow gives you some sort of special knowledge about fire safety that a trained fire protection professional like myself couldn't possibly know.
That's not what I meant.
Look, buddy, I came from a long line of firefighters. My father was a firefighter, and so was his father, and so was...
All I was trying to say is I've seen this burning bush, and believe me, it won't cause any harm.
You saw the burning bush?
Yes, I was watching my father-in-law's sheep when I came across it.
Did you see any kids playing with torches in the area?
The fire wasn't started by any man, sir.
I wouldn't rule out arson so quickly if I were you, Moses.
The fire was fire from heaven.
Fire from heaven? You're talking about Sodom and Gomorrah type of thing here?
No, nothing like that. The bush was on fire, but it didn't burn up. Somehow God was in the flame and that burning bush, and he spoke to me.
The bush spoke to you?
Not the bush, it was God. He called me by my name and told me to take off my shoes because I was standing on holy ground.
So, slow down, sir. I'm still trying to figure out the part about the bush talking to you.
The Lord told me that he had heard the cries of his people held in Egypt and that the time had come for them to be freed. He said that I would be the one to lead them out of Egypt.
You.
Yeah, I didn't believe him at first either. I never considered myself to be a very good speaker. I didn't know how I would be able to convince the Pharaoh to release God's people. To be honest with you, I'm still a little unsure about it. But God showed me how he could help me to do amazing miracles to try to convince the Pharaoh to listen.
What sort of miracles?
Well, God told me to put my staff on the ground. When I did, it changed into a snake. Then I picked up the snake and it turned back into a staff.
Sounds like too much smoke inhalation to me, sir. People have been known to hallucinate when around fire and smoke too long.
It was not a hallucination. It was the power of God.
Yeah. So, is that the trip you're getting ready for? You're heading to Egypt?
Heading to Egypt to free God's people. God told me that my brother Aaron was already on the way to meet me there. He will help me to speak to the Pharaoh.
Is he a pyromaniac too?
Look, I didn't set the bush on fire. God was speaking through that bush.
Well, I hope your trip goes well and all, but you sound like trouble to me, Mr. Moses, if that is your real name. I'm going to be keeping an eye on you. I mean, you shouldn't just go around talking to burning bushes. Didn't anyone ever tell you not to play with fire?
What can I say? When God talks, I listen.
All right. Go on, get ready for your trip, but I don't want to catch you someday out in the middle of the desert with a big pillar of fire or something like that. Got it?
You never know what might happen.
Today, we'll be telling the story of Secret of Shadow Mountain, Lesson 4, The Shack's Secret. During the week that Charlie and Red and Preston had been visiting the farm, they had had some unusual adventures on Shadow Mountain. On the mountain, they discovered a lumberjack shack belonging to a man named Terrible Tim. Terrible Tim is mean, selfish, and unhappy. Living with him is his nephew, Christopher, who is a cripple. Christopher is lonely and wants to make friends with other boys, but Terrible Tim has forbidden anyone to come near the shack. Christopher says his uncle is hiding some gold and does not want anyone to steal it. The three boys' last visit to the shack ends in disaster, with Charlie twisting his ankle and nearly being bit by a rattlesnake. Terrible Tim shoots the snake, takes Charlie to the shack where he meets Christopher, and tells Charlie never to come back to the mountain. The night after all these events, Charlie wakes from a dream about a plant that did not bear any fruit, and it disturbs him as being a picture of his own Christian life and witness. What he saw as he looked out the window made him cry frantically, "Grandpa, Grandma, Red, Preston, hurry, hurry, it's on fire!" Grandpa came running into the room as Charlie kept shouting, "It's on fire! It's on fire!" Red and Preston rubbed their sleepy eyes and said, "What's on fire, Charlie?" "The mountain," Charlie said, pointing toward the window. "There's a fire up there, and it looks as if it's right where Christopher lives." Grandpa leaned out the window. "You're right, Charlie. I think it is the shack." "Grandpa, you must help. Christopher might be alone up there. Sometimes his uncle goes to the other side of the mountain to work at night. Please go to him, Grandpa, please," Charlie begged. "Yes, Charlie, I will, but first I must call the fire company. If something isn't done fast, that whole mountain will be in flames." While Grandpa telephoned the firefighters, Red and Preston quickly got dressed. "Let's go with him," they said. "Maybe we can help." Charlie brushed a tear from his eye. "Sure wish I could go too," he said. "I really hope Christopher will be all right." Soon Grandpa, Red, and Preston were on their way. Charlie went downstairs where he could watch from the living room window. Grandma came and sat beside him. Charlie just looked out the window at the distant flames. All he could think about was Christopher. What if he had been trapped in the shack? Tears filled Charlie's eyes and ran down his cheeks. Grandma reached over and put her arm around him. "It'll be all right, Charlie. I'm sure they'll put out the fire." "But what about Christopher?" Charlie asked. "He's not even a Christian. Maybe it's all my fault. I wasn't the kind of witness I should have been. I did things my own way and made his uncle mad at us. I should have prayed and asked God to guide me. Now I'm afraid, Grandma, that the seed we've tried to plant will not bring much fruit." Grandma patted Charlie's shoulder. "I want to read something to you," she said. She reached for the Bible and turned to Psalm 126, verses 5 and 6. "They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. He that goeth forth and weepeth, bearing precious seed, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him." Then Grandma explained what that verse meant. God promises to bless His word as we sow it in the hearts of men and women and boys and girls. As we let Him, the Master Gardener, direct us and use us in the planting of that word, it is guaranteed to bring results. It is one crop that cannot fail when sown according to God's directions. There is never a crop failure for the faithful soul winner. God promises a harvest. Many Christians will have no harvest because they fail to obey God's directions. They live for self alone and not for the glory of God. What a terrible thing it will be for Christians to have to stand before God and not have any fruit to present to Him. For such Christians there will be sorrow and loss. The faithful Christian, however, will have much fruit. For the faithful Christian standing before God will mean rejoicing and rewards. What an exciting day it will be for faithful Christians when they get to heaven and see the results of all their labors. God doesn't always show us on earth the harvest we are reaping for Him. He is saving much of it as a surprise for us when we get to heaven. That harvest will include people from every race and every land. The verse I just read you gives the secret for successful sowing and reaping. It says that the Christian is to go and weep. It takes effort to be a witness for the Lord. A Christian needs to go. He must get busy and go out to the fields of the world where souls are waiting to receive the Word of God. A farmer would never have a harvest if he just sat at home. He must go and work. The Christian must not only go, but he must also reap. That doesn't mean that he sits around crying all day. No, it means that he must be really concerned and must be willing to pray and weep over the lost souls of boys and girls and men and women. It means that our hearts must be filled with real love and compassion for everyone, even though some treat us hatefully. As we go and as we weep, God promises that we will come back rejoicing. The greatest rejoicing will be done in heaven when we stand before God and see all the sheaves that have been won for Christ because we prayed and because we gave and because we went. Charlie remembered a song he often sang in Sunday school. It went like this: "When we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. When we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory." Charlie felt better after Grandma finished talking to him, but he was still worried about Christopher. Several hours later, Grandpa, Red, and Preston returned home. The fire on Shadow Mountain had been brought under control. "Is Christopher all right?" Charlie wanted to know. Grandpa looked sadly at Charlie and shook his head. "We don't know, Charlie. The fire destroyed the shack. There's nothing left but a few charred timbers. The woods around the shack are badly burned too. We could find no trace of Christopher or his uncle. If Christopher was alone when the fire broke out, I doubt if he escaped." Charlie started to cry. How terrible if Christopher died without knowing Jesus as his Savior. Grandpa looked at the clock in the corner. 4:30, he said. The sun will be coming up soon. We'll be able to make a better search in the morning. At that moment, there was a loud banging on the door. Who could that be? Grandpa muttered as he went to open it. What a surprise greeted them. There, filling the whole doorway, was Terrible Tim. In his arms, he carried Christopher. "Christopher," Charlie called, "you're safe." Christopher smiled, although he looked very, very tired. Come in, Grandpa called. Terrible Tim carried Christopher into the room. "I need help," he said. "We'll be glad to help," Grandpa said, "but where have you been? We were worried when we couldn't find you on the mountain." "The old stove exploded. I just don't know what happened to it," Terrible Tim explained. "I just had time to grab Christopher and get out of the shack. We lost everything we owned in that fire. All I have left now is Christopher. We didn't know where to go. We don't have any friends in the valley. So we just sat down by the pond in the pasture for a long time. Then I remembered those papers that boy," pointing to Charlie, "gave to Christopher. Christopher had given them to me this morning and I read them. They said that God loves us and that he is a friend to everybody who calls on him. That's what I did out there by the pond. I said, 'Oh God, help us, please.' That's when Christopher said we should come here, and I knew it was the right thing to do." No one got any more sleep that night. Christopher and the boys chatted happily in the corner while Grandma and Grandpa talked with Terrible Tim. "What are you going to do now?" Charlie asked Christopher. "Uncle Tim says he'll build another cabin, but this time he'll build it here in the valley. He says he's glad about the fire. Now he doesn't have to worry about the things he tried to protect. He's not even going to try to find them. He says there's more important things in life than gold and such things." The next few days were happy and filled with fun for the boys. While the new cabin was being built, Christopher and his uncle lived right there in the farm home with Grandma and Grandpa, Charlie, Red, and Preston. Christopher said he had never been so happy in all his life. The best moment, however, came when the 4 boys knelt in the bedroom and Christopher asked Jesus to come into his heart. God had honored his word, and Charlie rejoiced at the fruit it had brought. On Sunday morning, they all went to church. Charlie thought Christopher's uncle looked rather strange walking into church in his lumberjack clothes, yet he felt proud to be sitting beside someone so big and strong. That afternoon, Charlie's parents came to pick up Charlie and his friends and take them home. "Things were just starting to get good, and now we have to go back," Preston said sadly. "Yeah," Charlie added, "but we'll come back again sometime, and when we do, we'll have a special friend waiting for us." He winked at Christopher. "We won't forget you, Christopher," he said, holding up the deer and the beaver. Charlie, Red, and Preston promised Christopher that they would pray for his uncle, that he too would become a Christian. As they drove away from the farm, the boys glanced back at Shadow Mountain. Charlie smiled and said, "I never thought you could plant seeds on a mountain." Dad glanced into the rear mirror with a puzzled frown. The boys winked at each other, smiled, and settled in for the trip back to town. Thank you for listening to our exciting story, Shadow Mountain.
Hello boys and girls, today we're going to do secret message painting, and let me show you what I mean by that. Come close over here, and I have my paintbrush, I have my watercolors. I'm going to paint this little picture here. So I want my plane to be this greenish color, so I'm going to go ahead and paint inside this plane with my watercolors, this greenish color. Get a little bit more, rub it in there. You don't want too much water, you want it to be enough water though. And hopefully you can see my secret message coming through here. My secret message that I wrote on the plane, and it's coming through here, so. A little bit more water to this. And as you can read, it says, Jesus is my pilot. I'm gonna have my little plane here, and I can fill in with my painting all the little cracks here, and we can keep painting with that. But I'm going to show you how to make a secret message. Before you get started with making your picture, I want you to dip your paintbrush into the water and dip it into each of your paint palettes just to get them moist, especially the ones that you want to use. Okay, and let's just leave that there. And then we want to make sure that we draw a large picture. Inside that picture is going to be your secret message. So I'm going to draw a sun. And on the outside I could just make some rays here. I'm only going to draw the picture. I'm not going to color it in. I'm just going to draw it. Okay, there's my sun, and I want to make my secret message inside this sun. So I remember to paint that part. Okay, so I'm going to write my secret message inside of here. And when you're writing your secret message, make sure that you're using kind of an imaginary line so you don't make your letters all wobbly and your words all wobbly. Another thing, you might want to start with your name when you do your message. That's a little bit easier to start with. Maybe just write your name in this white crayon in the middle of your picture. Okay, and then now we can get to coloring. So you'll dip it into the water and then you'll dip it into the paint. Dip it into the water, into the paint, and these are watercolors. These just work best with the crayon. Hopefully you can already read this message that I wrote to you. Have fun.
Again, Brother Beal, we're not going to do science in the Bible today. We're going to do something special. I got my friend here, Simon. How you doing, Simon?
Hey, Brother Beal. Hello, everybody.
So, tell us what you've been up to lately when you've been in this time off.
Well, I've had a lot of time to play video games, do homework. My dad's having us pull weeds outside a lot. And I've been thinking about starting to write some kind of novel.
Wow.
Just pass the time.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I've always thought there's not enough Christian adventure for young people. And I always thought, you know, if you could, someone could write some adventure about the time before the flood, because things could be quite different than they are now, and it'd be really, really exciting.
Oh, for sure things were different. I mean, good grief.
Yeah. Anyway, today we're going to have a Lego challenge. Simon is kind of he's grown up playing Legos, probably not too much anymore, but when he was younger, he knows his Legos. So we're going to have a Lego minifigure identification challenge, and we're going to see if you can beat Simon. And at the end of it, I'm going to show a minifigure just to you, all of you, and Simon won't tell you what it is, and whoever's the first one to text me will win that minifigure, and I'll send it to you. All right, here we go. All right, we're back here with, before I did the challenge with Simon, I wanted to show you a couple of Lego sets we got recently. One is this Ferrari. How you like that, Simon? Simon can see it from his camera.
That thing's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got, you know, it's got the little guy in here, and we have a brand new sticker set for it, so whoever gets this will get to put it together and put the stickers on. It's pretty cool. We've got another one here that's pretty neat. I don't know if you've seen this before, Simon. This is
I don't think I've seen that before. Is that from a movie?
I guess, I don't know, it's some kind of superhero scene. It's a bridge, and you know, we don't have the minifigures for it, but it's got a taxi up there. You know, Spider-Man's involved with the spider web. Down below, there's...
That's where the web came from. See, I was a little confused about that.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Down below, it's got some compartments in it. It's a really, I don't know, this might be this is about 1,000-piece set, I think, somewhere in there.
That's a little set for 1,000 pieces.
A lot of pieces, and it's pretty heavy, actually. And this other one we just got, really cool. This is really cool.
Yeah, I like that thing. I think my cousin has a set like that with the rocket.
Yeah, well, this is the space shuttle, and it's deploying a satellite It is really nifty. Cool. It all folds up, goes down inside. This
Right,
is
okay.
this is about, I don't know, what's about maybe 900 pieces. It's a pretty big set too. All right, so we're going to start the challenge here right now. All right, we got some minifigures here from Lego. First set is Ninjago. Now, what I want you to do is see if you can identify it faster than Simon. He's pretty good, so we'll let you both see it at the same time. So here we go. You ready, Simon?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
That. Oh man, I can't even see it very. Oh, that's Samuel Kai.
Nope. Close.
Oh no, that's
I'll give you a hint. Starts with a W. This is a tough one. This is what happens to you when you get in a car wreck. Get hit from behind. To your head.
Oh, Whiplash.
Whiplash. That's him. Whiplash.
Yeah, the Scout.
All right, this one. I think you'll get this one. All right, ready? Here we go.
Zane.
Zane, you got it. I knew you'd get that one. All right. Here's the next one.
Lloyd.
Lloyd is right. Now, there's something special about him. He's wearing something special, just in case you might know that. I don't know if you did or not.
The Green Ninja garments.
It's a tournament robe, just so you know. Okay,
Oh.
tournament robe. All right. Next guy. This might be a tough one. This is a tough one. All right, here we go. It's from a
That is
I think
one
it's-
of Garmadon's troops from the actual, or one of his generals from the
That's
actual.
right, General Number 1. He's got a fish head. Pretty good, Simon. I knew you'd get him. All right. Listen, I know you get this one.
Oh yeah. Kai.
Kai. He's wearing a special.
That's from the Ninjroids.
He's wearing a techno robe. I thought you might know that. Now this one, I think you might know this one too. But the kids might like this one. All right, this is a cute one.
Is it a dwarf?
It's part of Ninjago. His name starts with a B.
Oh, it's one of the snakes.
I don't know if he's a snake or he might be. It starts with a B. It's kind of a. I'll give you the name. It's Baitar. Never
Yeah,
heard of him. He's kind of a hard one.
snake.
All right, we got some
I
Star
think
Wars
the-
ones.
Something like that.
Okay, this Star Wars one. Oh. Okay, this is kind of a special one. Might be kind of tough. Okay, go.
That is Clone Commander Gree.
Got it! Whoa, man, Simon, you are amazing.
Luminar Unduli and I think Yoda as well.
You're amazing, I'll tell you. Here we go. This is an easy one. I think
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul. Yeah, you got it. All right, this one here. This is a little tougher. This is kind of a rare one.
It's a Stormtrooper Commander?
No.
Or a Sandtrooper?
Think cold.
A Hoth soldier?
He's a snow trooper officer. Really kind of special. Got this thing here helps me an officer, I guess. I don't know. All right, here's another one. Everybody knows this one.
Luke Skywalker?
Luke Skywalker. Good job, Simon. All right, this is a little tougher. A little tougher. He's got a name.
Briggs Darklighter?
I think he flew with him in that attack. I think it starts with a Z. Zev Seneska. Never heard of it. All right, this is pretty easy.
Han Solo.
Han Solo. All right, now my last one for everybody out there. This last one is one that you can win. The first one to text me the name of this one. Now it has to be the right name, not just part of the name. The first one to text me this name will win it. So Simon, don't tell him what it is. All right, here we go. Take a look at him. Text me his name. I'm going to send this to you. All right, have a great day.